Hey guys, welcome to our next video from the Visualforce team. And this video is gonna be about Visualforce components, and how do we actually use them in Visualforce pages. So, speaking in general terms, Visualforce components are reusable part of markup and functionality which can be used in multiple places together in your Visualforce pages. Basically, even before Lightning was introduced, Visualforce components already had a component type structure or a component like methodology to reuse code in Visualforce pages. So Visualforce pages work kind of like Lightning. I'm sorry, Visualforce components work kind of like Lightning components, where in the sense they house all the functionality inside of them, and that functionality is just part of the component, and then you can take the whole component and use it on as many Visualforce pages that you want to use it on. So you can find this content on the Visualforce components topic on salesforce.com website. But moving forward, there are generally two types of Visualforce components. The first ones are the standard Visualforce components, and these refer to any standard Visualforce tag that you use, like the Apex inputs, Apex command buttons. Since those are not HTML things, they are built by the Visualforce compiler, Visualforce functionality, and then they have been designed by Salesforce, and we just directly use those standard Visualforce components in our pages. So, for an example, if you open any Visualforce page, so this is my org right here. Let me just go to pages. And let me open, oh, this is the one you're supposed to look at. But let's say I create a new page, like simple Visualforce page like this. I'm not even gonna name it. So, and what I do is I just use an input text here. This input text, this is actually a standard Visualforce component, and you can use this as per your functionality. This is how you use your standard Visualforce components. Pretty straightforward. Now, the second type, or the most important, or the more in accordance with this session, is the custom Visualforce components. So these give you an ability to define your own components, which can be used just like these standard components on a Visualforce page. So basically, and these follow a modular approach. But so now, how do you create these? So pretty simple. Just go to your setup search bar and search for Visualforce components. Click on new, and it is going to give you a pre-default template. And as you can see, instead of here being Apex page, you have Apex colon component here. So let's name this demo VF component like this. Click save it out. Now these work with attributes. All Visualforce custom components work with attributes. What are attributes? Attributes are like properties or variables specific to a particular custom Visualforce component. So let's see, as you can see on the example here, I can define an attribute like this. What does this do? So as you can see, syntax is Apex attribute, then the type of the attribute, and there is a lot of types supported in this Apex attribute tag. A whole list of it could be found in the actual documentation, which is there. But for now, an introductory purpose, you have the type of the attribute, then you have the name of the attribute. With this should be unique across all your attributes so that you can use them properly. Then also, these two are the required parameters, but the default is used to provide a default value to your Apex attribute. And then the description is just like a little description about this attribute. This is also not required. But once you define this, you can actually refer to your attributes in your markup like this. So my name, attribute's name is text to show, so I can put it like this and quick save it. So even though I have saved it out here, you guys would be able to see that there is no preview button in the Visualforce components. But now in order to actually preview it or actually use it, I'm just gonna quick save it again, and I'm gonna create a Visualforce page in which I am going to use this Visualforce component. So just search for Visualforce pages. I'm gonna create a new one. Name it demo vf com container like this. And now the syntax of using this is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Again, refer to our website for all the examples. But how you refer to a Visualforce component in your pages is like this: C colon, and here is the name of your Visualforce component. In our case, which is our demo VF component, like this, and quick save it. Now, the C represents the namespace, and namespace is actually used to refer to what domain or what namespace this, not really the domain, but what namespace this Visualforce component belongs to. C refers to the default namespace, which means that this Visualforce component was created in this org only. So you are just using C as the default namespace of this org, and then it just looks for this component in this org's created component. Now, an example where instead of using C, you would use any other value is if your Visualforce component is part of a package. Let's say that package has a prefix of, I don't know, pkg like this, and then you'll use it like this: pkg, that is the namespace of the managed package, colon, and then you'll use the name of the component like this. No, not the C again, just the name of the component like this. So again, a good practice to have Visualforce code packaged is like adding a Visualforce component to your managed package, and then your subscriber or installer of your package could use that Visualforce component in his VF page. Now, let's remove this and just put the one that we created here. Let me quick save this out. If I preview this, you would see a single text value here which says my first VF component. This value is being shown here from my Visualforce component level. So this is how we are just showing the attribute value on the page, right? Now, there wouldn't be a point in creating attributes if you couldn't pass values to these attributes from your VS page to your component. And how that works is like my attribute's name is text to show. I can go here on my page where I'm using this component, and I can pass this value as an HTML attribute like this. And by default, it is printing me this value, my first VF component. I can pass anything here: overridden text value from VF page, something like this. You do something like this, and I'm going to preview it again. Now the value you see here is overridden text value, which was passed from the Visualforce page level, and it overrid the default value I gave inside the Visualforce component. Now, similarly, the good thing about Visualforce components is just like your Visualforce pages, these can have their own Apex controllers. those Apex controllers can have like independent functionality inside of them. So that way you would be able to have all Apex functionality inside the Visualforce component. Then just use that Visualforce Visualforce component on a Visualforce page like this. So pretty good way to generalize your code and put it in components in a modular level. Also, you can use other components inside your Visualforce component as well. So let's say this was my actual Visualforce component that I used, right? If I look into my org, this component is called demo VF comp, and I also have an older component built in here, which is called my first VF component. This it also has like kind of a similar structure, but the point I'm trying to make here is that I can use other attributes here too, like this. If we save it, and now if I go to my VF page, which was here, and preview it, now you see we have two text values we printed here. This is the first one, which got overridden. Then the second one, which got populated from the second component, this one that I used here. So again, a good way to reuse our code and stuff. So this way you can just grasp the concept of Visualforce components. Actually, I mean, apart from the Apex side of it, it is really similar to your Visualforce pages. You can have controllers, you can have getter setters, you can have Apex methods, you can call those from your page and all that stuff. But this is a brief general guide on how to use Visualforce components in Visualforce Markup. So I hope you guys understood this. This was a quick little topic, and I'll see you guys in the next video.